Okay, so I decided to do this video. This is basically just a collage of RC Microlight frames that I've done over the years. Some of these are new, some of these are old. Some of these I have done before the MIA Tanarg RC Microlight project, and some are even prior to the MIA 1.25 easy trikes, which I've been selling for many years now. One of these has a partial mechanical pilot, which is basically the bottom section of the MIA robotic pilot that I use on the MIA Robo Trike, which I also sell in kits. I've been selling that also for many years. So these go back, some of these go back a while back. Behind there is the MIA 1.0 easy trike, and that's just a very lightweight version of the MIA 1.25 trike or RC Microlight. Also in kit that I have at my website for purchase, and that is a model that I designed for calm days and indoor flight. There's quite a few people that have bought this model for indoor flight. So some indoor flyers, and particularly in the eastern area, New York or Philadelphia, I believe, or where they do fly more indoor flight models. I believe some of these may be still floating in that area. This one right here at the end is based on the Tanarg, and it's another one that I not show in the Tanarg videos, but it's something that I came up with after I was playing with a more simple way of making the Tanarg frame. It kind of has the same flavor as the Tanarg, but it's a more simplistic frame, and that was just done, playing around with the geometry and the frame. This is more so for the person that has not seen this before, and you can go online or just do a Google search and just go and see how many of these things I have done over the years, and who has really been pushing this way before there was anybody other than MIA Microflight that has been showing similar stuff on the internet. Of course, I have my own way of doing things, and you can clearly see in the style that I produce these kits, but you can also see in the way I use certain parts. Not a copy of anybody else out there, because there's nothing like this. There has not been anything like this prior to MIA Microflight, and this comes from a long experience designing these things and just going through the trial and error in trying to make these things robust, high performance, and also attractive at the same time. This red one right here is a model that I did. It's a very simple frame, and I was trying to see if I can get away with just using one single rod to do the whole frame. It's very similar to the way I've done some very small ultralights that I also show in some videos in my YouTube channel. If you look at those ultralights, you can see a lot of simplicity in some of the designs that I built, and the simplicity comes from also years of experience designing these things, and not only microlights but also RC helicopters. I mean, when you talk about designing a radio-controlled helicopter from scratch and offering that to the public, which is something that we did before the wave of similar RC micro helicopters hit the market, after we started doing kits that people could build, and all these other kits started, or rather products started coming out from China and the US even, very similar to stuff that we were doing. Micro, sub-micro, palm size are all trademark names that I originally started with back in way before 2000, and way before we even established MIA Microflight back in 1999. I mean, this is something that goes back into the 80s, early 90s, that I was already planning on producing and selling them in kit in later years, because I knew that there was nothing like that on the market. I mean, helicopters have been around, but most of them have been nitro and gas helicopters, large and very bulky mechanically. And at that time, I wanted something that I could train myself with in the comfort of a home. Back in those years, I lived in a more compact home, and I had a basement, and that was my training ground. So I wanted something very compact to train in a small, compact area. And so when I designed the micro helicopter, that's where that came from. It's a desire to do that and offer that to people who wanted to do the same and who had a very limited space. And so that's how that took off. But the point that I'm trying to make is that with that initiative and also with that experience, making helicopters, it requires, an understanding of mechanics. My background is in engineering. I totally understand how that works by doing a lot of these things and by experience with real aircraft. So that's where my expertise comes with these things. I do have my own way of thinking and my own approach based on inspiration that I get from real aircraft. Still, there's quite a great deal of ingenuity and originality, and that's what has established our brand with our products, MIA Microflight, and one can easily identify this if placed next to anything that comes similar to that. And so this is just another reason why I'm making this video, is to show all this diversity in not just one frame, but dozens of frames that I have done over the years.